One of the worst things that can happen is that something works finally and you hate it. You hate doing it because not always, but oftentimes that means that you're going to have to keep doing that. On a large scale, it could be you start a business and that's the one that works. That's the one that's getting sales and you're scaling to 100K a month and you realize you hate your life. That was me, my e-commerce business. Luckily, e-commerce businesses are built to exit. And so I was able to exit that business after about a year and a half of building it. And on a smaller scale as well, in your business itself, you may have a funnel, a acquisition strategy, fulfillment or a product or something that you just have to keep doing that you hate, right? Maybe you start a business that's very heavily based on hiring the right people. Let's say you have a cleaning company and you clean residential places, but you hate hiring. You hate dealing with people and the logistical pieces and all that stuff. You just want to acquire customers, whatever it might be, right? And then I've also experienced it on YouTube itself, where a video blows up and you hated making that video, right? Flashbacks to my Navy SEAL video where I took my laziest friend and hired 2 Navy SEALs to train us for 3 days. And it was gruesome. I mean, even just planning the video, the logistics took, like 4 months? And then shooting it was, not only stressful because it's a video shoot, they're always stressful, but also because I have Navy SEALs on my ass that kick my butt. Well, that video got 3 million views. Should we do it again? No, because if I do another one and it works as well, I'm gonna have to keep doing it. Okay, now these are obvious, right? You hate doing something. If you hate cold calling, maybe don't make that the core of your business, right? Of course, you can always delegate things. You should do that, especially if you don't like it, if you're not that good at it. Usually they're the same, right? If you're not good at something, you also don't like it. If you don't like something, you tend to not be good at it either. So, yeah. However, it can also be sneakier. If it's not something that you absolutely hate, you can push yourself through it. And you need a bit of accountability, but can you do it long term? That's the question, right? If you look at the most successful entrepreneurs, they are not only in a business that leverages their nature and their working style and what they actually enjoy, their passions and what they're good at, but also the things that they do inside of the business are always around their nature, what they enjoy, right? Someone like Gary Vee is super social. He's in meetings all day. He never sits by himself on a computer for 3 hours and writes, right? Hormozy does that. He locks himself in a closet for some reason. I think it's time to come out. Also, look at this beautiful Austin neighborhood that I'm going on a walk on here. This is also one of these things too where, I'm doing it right now where I want to go on more walks. I want to go outside more. I want to be more free-flowing, expressive, creative. I'm just going to walk and record a video, right? Instead of every time sitting in the studio and doing that. Let me know if you like it, because if you do, it's a nice bonus. If not, I'm still going to do this because the biggest lesson that I learned, actually, let me put a pin in that. Let me get back to finishing the sentence first. The alley that I went down first. What the highest achievers do in their business is that they follow a strategy that leverages what they're good at, right? So Hormozy is someone who loves writing. He loves making videos. He loves philosophizing and there's people around. I feel awkward. He loves deep work. He's written multiple books and he's going to continue to write books, right? Gary Vee just yaps. And even when he wrote the books, he yapped at a person and they wrote the book, right? He had a ghostwriter. And you can do something short term, but if you're currently doing something that you don't enjoy, then it's not going to last and you're going to burn out at some point. And maybe you can delegate it to someone else and that's fine, but you got to look at the core of your business, like what makes the competitive edge of your business, right? And someone like Steve Jobs, who was competing with Bill Gates in certain ways, right? With the Mac and computers and all that, they had completely different natures and completely different competitive advantages, right? I don't know too much about Bill Gates. I'm sure he was just a business mogul who was really good at business strategy, whereas Steve Jobs was all about making a great product. That wasn't Bill Gates' approach, right? Ever used a Windows? It's like the Android of phones, right? The Android of computers. Anyways, they didn't go for what the best thing is. They went for what the best thing for them is, right? And you see this over and over and over again. Everyone who's wildly successful at what they do and also love what they do, follows a strategy in a business that they actually enjoy. And so the learning for me, after one, I had a business that I hated and I sold, and then I had a YouTube channel that I initially loved, and then I saw what it takes to make things work, whatever that means. Work means, in this case, views, right? I then realized that I also started hating that, the strategy that I chose in that business that is the right thing for me. What I learned was that the best strategy is the one that you enjoy, that you can do for a long time, because the best results happen long term, over 10 years. And if you're currently doing something that you won't be able to delegate, and it is the competitive edge of your business, but you know that you can't do it for 10 years, let's just even think shorter term, like 5 years, maybe you shouldn't do it. And of course, there will always be short-term projects that, it's just for 3 months, we're going to do this, and then the bottleneck is released, and then we're good. We can move on, right? That's fine. But if it is the core of your business, if it is the way you acquire customers, it's the way you innovate, it's the way you market, it's the way, whatever it is, right? Find a way to make it more enjoyable. Even if that means, on paper, it's a worse strategy. It gets less results, because business is a long-term game. And you only win in business when you can do it long-term, period. So if you find yourself pursuing a strategy that is working and you hate it, find a way to make it sustainable, because it's just a matter of time until you self-sabotage or maybe even burn out, and even not just physically burn out, but just you stop enjoying the business. And you could have enjoyed it, right? I mean, there are so many creators who burn out after, like the average creator, just to speak from creator businesses, because that's my expertise, or I wouldn't say I'm an expert, but I'm definitely advanced. 5 to 7 years is when people burn out. I've already had my first burnout. Yay! Now, the next level is to figure out, okay, how can I do this for the next 10 years? How can I make it enjoyable? And so they have a shelf life of 5 to 7 years, because they become irrelevant, because what they do just stops working. Or most of the time, honestly, they just burn out. They just don't want to do it anymore, because YouTube is demanding so much from them, and they're just not willing to put it in anymore, right? They had to do what's working, and they didn't enjoy it enough. And one of the biggest things for sustained fulfillment in life, in your business, is to just avoid the pitfalls. Just avoid the mistakes that you see everyone else making. And the problem is people fall out of love with their business because they bend themselves over backwards to make things work, right? And they lose themselves. So if that is you, then think twice. Do I want to keep going down this rabbit hole? Because if it keeps working more, I'm going to have to do it even more. That's the real golden handcuffs. You know, people always talk about how a job is golden handcuffs. No, it's actually a business that you don't enjoy and you can't do long term, and you have to push yourself. And of course, there will always be things where you have to push yourself, but that shouldn't be the core competitive edge of your business. So figure out what lights you up, what aligns with your nature, what is something that you can do long term, because you do find it enjoyable, even if that means it's not the most effective thing. So I hope that sparked something in you. Join the school community if you're interested in working with me and be surrounded by other established entrepreneurs who want to achieve more fulfillment and therefore also achieve more. And I'll see you in there.